Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually going to be something that I thought of with a friend, and I thought this would be an interesting video to make. Now, I will put in the disclaimer that I'm not trying to be negative about having a baby or a newborn, and I am thinking of doing a toddler edition to this because it is a whole new ball game. But I am not trying to be negative. I am just trying to shed some light on the things that they don't tell you before you have a baby. And then I will finish on a lighter note. So this video is meant to be in good humour, talking about things that I've been told or that I've had experienced myself. So please, if you found something that someone didn't tell, nobody told you about before you had a baby, and you think that you should share it with new mums, leave it in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you are new to my channel. But let's jump into the what they don't tell you about becoming a mum, baby edition. So the first thing is, people will tell you that you will lose sleep. Your whole pregnancy, people will go on and on and on about say goodbye to sleep, you know, never going to sleep again, blah, 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 blah. But what they don't tell you, and what I tell all of my mum to be friends, as not as so much as to scare them, but as a warning, and that is your first night home from the hospital. So not the first day that your baby is born, but the second night of their life. They really wake up and have a bit of a shock that they're out of your womb. And so your first night home, which is normally this night, will probably be a nightmare, and you will probably have a moment where you do a what the hell have I done? I've ruined my life almost. That is not what you've done, and that's not really what you're thinking. But when you're 3 in the morning and you've not slept a wink, you might have that thought, and that is totally normal. It's their first night of really being out of that sleepy birth haze, and let me tell you, ours was rough. Nobody told me that your newborn will only want to sleep being held. And so they only want to sleep in your bed, they only want to sleep with you. And so until we got our DockATot in the mail, or our pod in the mail, and they could co-sleep with us safely, we basically slept in shifts, sitting up holding him. So nobody will tell you that. They tell you the baby feeds, you lay them down, blah blah blah, which is all well and good for some babies, but not for mine. He had reflux and he wanted to be upright at all times. Another thing for your breastfeeding mums, nobody tells you about cluster feeding until you are a mum and you have to cluster feed. So that's when your baby basically physically attaches themselves for hours on end in a period of a couple hours to feed. And often this time is between like 10 and 2 a.m. It is just 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. It's just, you want to be asleep, they want to be attached. The next one is, yes, you know that you will probably not get a lot of sleep, as I've mentioned in my previous points. But they generally tell you babies will feed every 3 to 4 hours. Some babies, like mine, liked every 2. Lachlan was an every 2-hour baby pretty much until he hit like 5 or 6 months old. And we sleep trained him. So be prepared that your baby might be that way. It's not always the 3 to 4 hours that they promise. Sometimes you don't expect it, but they will hit a leap or a sleep progression, and nobody talks to you about sleep progressions and leaps when you're pregnant. No, they do not. You hear about them when you're up at 3 a.m. googling, why won't my baby sleep? So do yourself a favor, if you're going to be a new mum, look at the Wonder Weeks app, buy the book. They talk all about sleep regressions, and look at sleep sites on the 4, 8, 12 and 18 month sleep regressions, because that 4-month one is absolutely brutal. The next thing they don't tell you is that when you are at this stage and you have a newborn that is really fussy and they won't sleep and they're crying constantly and they want to feed, that will end. It doesn't feel like it will, but it does. Around the 6-week mark is when fussiness is at its peak. Anything after that, it generally starts to calm down. By that time your baby hits 3 or 4 months old, you will not believe the change that you see. by the time Lachlan was 6 months old, you wouldn't believe that he was that fussy baby that he was. He was the happiest little baby ever, and I got comments every day about how happy he was. So it will pass. It's just something that, I mean, you have to sort of go by that this too will pass. Reflux and milk protein allergies. These are not super common, but it's worth thinking about them if you have an incredibly fussy, gassy, vomity, screaming child, and you can't figure out why. Lachlan had reflux, which was linked to his milk protein allergy. We saw a baby chiropractor, which is something that you might want to look into if you have a very fast labor or if you have a C-section, because babies can end up with knots in their back from, you know, the whole birthing process, which Lachlan did. And you specifically need to see a baby chiropractor because they do not crack bones. They just push pressure points. I will rave about baby chiropractors, but nobody really talks to you about the bad symptoms of reflux or milk protein allergies. And to be honest, to even get someone to look at Lachlan, because we don't have pediatricians that you can see easily here in Australia, even to get a GP to believe me that he was having issues with dairy took 14 months of us just having to have cut dairy on our own and realize the difference. So just remember that people won't always tell you what to look out for, and you're a little bit on the deep end. Just trust your instincts. If something seems wrong, it probably is. The next one is about breastfeeding, specifically how lonely and hard breastfeeding can be in the beginning. You know, you're up every 2 or 3 hours, you are up all hours of the night, you are lonely, you are sad, and you are so overwhelmed with emotion that nobody really prepares you for, especially in your first 2 weeks. It is such a difficult journey, but you know, you are not alone, and it's totally worth looking at mummy groups on Facebook, Instagram, anything, even like forums where you can talk to other mums who are up breastfeeding at the same time as you are. It's totally worth it. You just don't feel so alone. The next one is that postpartum depression and baby blues, depending on which degree, is a real thing, and you can get it. Many women do. I got postpartum depression. I've had friends that have had a little bit of postpartum depression. I've had friends that have had the baby blues that didn't really last that long. You know, I've had friends that have had delayed postpartum depression who've had to see psychologists after their baby hit that 4, 5, 6 month mark. You know, that can come on delayed, it can come on straight away, and that you need to be aware and you need to have that support around you in case that hits, because I didn't have that as much as I should have, and I had a lot of negativity towards me and me as a new mum, and so that really hit me hard, and I struggled very hard with that. This time around I think it's a whole new ball game because I sort of know what triggered me last time, and I'm going to stay away from that situations. But these are real things, and you know, you may suffer from them. They're very common. I think it's like 40% of women get some sort of baby blues. The next one is comparisons. Nobody tells you, and you don't expect, how competitive and comparative people will be, and even you will be with your baby. I was like this with Lachlan. You know, Lachlan was a late bloomer in some ways, teeth, crawling, walking. You know, he was a bit of a late bloomer, and so I would compare him to other babies sometimes because they were all crawling and moving around and doing things that Lachlan wasn't. And like even now, Lachlan is much older than a lot of my friends' babies, and they're still trying to compare their babies to him. And that's just not fair. You know, your baby is different. Your baby works on different things that other babies do, and they will get compared, unfortunately. It's just what people do. And so I'm just trying to prepare you that that will happen, because you do it to yourself, but it's even harder when other people who are supposed to be supportive make you feel bad about the fact that your baby's not doing something that they should be doing. Mum guilt. I'm going to make a whole video talking about this, I think, but mum guilt is real, and you do not know how bad you will feel about things until it hits you. I think, you know, one of the prime examples was when I gave up breastfeeding and we moved to formula. The mum guilt was real. It was very much a, why can't I breastfeed? Why can't I provide for him? Why does he need formula, etc., etc. You know, leaving your baby, doing something for yourself, all of those things will bring on mum guilt. You know, it will hit you, and it's okay. Every mum feels mum guilt, and you know, it's just a warning. From day one, you will have all these new feelings and emotions that you could not even predict. The next two things are sort of my happy ending, and that is nobody will tell you or prepare you for how much love you will have for this little person. There is no words to describe how much your life changes, and that love might not hit you instantly if you've had a bit of traumatic birth, or if, you know, it doesn't hit you, but one day you will look at your baby, or even like a couple hours later, you will look at your baby and you will just be hit with a wall of love, and it's just amazing. I love also, to add to that, watching my husband become a parent. I could take hundreds of photos of him and Lachlan together. It is so heartwarming to watch somebody you love so much love this little being that you've made. It's just incredible, and I don't think you can be prepared for that until it hits you. Last but not least, nobody tells you how utterly terrifying, exciting, exhausting, amazing, and magical being a new mum is. And it is all of those things at one time. That's why I said overwhelming amounts of emotion. Being a new mum is absolutely the most unique experience, and I'm sure having my second baby I will be overwhelmed with all those emotions again, but the first time you go through it, the first time you love this little person that you have grown yourself inside your body, the first time that you meet this little person, it is just an indescribable amount of love, and nobody can really prepare or like mentally prepare you for that. And while this one's not a warning, it's just giving you something to look forward to. It's just indescribable. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have some things that you wish people had told you when you were pregnant about having a baby, please leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear them. I am thinking about, as I said, doing volume 2 toddler edition, because I now have a 15-month-old, and it's a whole new ball game. And I could even do volume 3 as a second time mum. We can see. But if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments down below as well. Also, give this video a thumbs up. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to click the subscribe button or share this video with your friends if you think they would enjoy it, if they're new mums or going to be mums. Have a wonderful day. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.